Now then, guys, welcome back to the To Hull and Back podcast. It is the first episode of 2022. Obviously, we had a little break after the victorious Christmas special episode against Tigers Down Under. We were also hoping for a jam-packed episode this time, to be fair. We was hoping we had Blackpool, Sheffield United and Blackburn to talk about. But we only got the one. Any Blackburn fans that are watching, please,
shambles.
Calm down. And obviously, we were also hoping that we would have a takeover to talk about, but we're still waiting. Unfortunately, we tried to hold out for as long as we could. So hopefully, in the next episode, we'll be talking about a new era.
We've said that the last 6 episodes or so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're still here. The alarms are still here, waiting for that Everton payout, aren't they? Right, so before we start, then obviously, as always, sponsored by 6 Yards Out and Hull City Retro. You've seen the logos on the intro video there. Do head over to their website and Twitter page and have a look at what they do. Buy the stuff if you can. Obviously, we've had a couple of giveaways with 6 Yards Out as well, which has been good. So congrats to the two people that have won on them. Hopefully some more in the future. And I think, obviously, Hull Badge Man, we still want you to try and contribute to them if you can. With it being a new year, let's start on a new leaf and help support basically a volunteer service that put every single profit they get back into making badges for us guys. It's a match day tradition. We want it to stay alive. All right, so let's get into it. Obviously, the Blackpool game. Me and you were there, Will. Nathaniel didn't come, but still watched it, I assume.
Oh, listened to it and seen the highlights, yeah.
Enjoyed it.
That'll do. I mean, it was, I'd probably have preferred that than watching it, to be fair. Not the kind of performance we was expecting, I don't think. I'll ask you then, Will. What was your overall thoughts on the Blackpool game?
Not very good. It was certainly a step down in performance from what we've had in the previous weeks. I mean, it could be something to do with the COVID outbreak that happened at the club. Might have knocked a bit of the wind out with the sales of some of the players, because some of the players did look very rusty, which would have been helped by the fact they didn't play for a few weeks either. But they just didn't look at it for the most part until near the death, when they actually tried to properly score, and I don't know how Grimshaw kept some of those chances out, to be quite frank. It was a loss. A draw would have probably been, to be honest, Blackpool themselves didn't play amazingly, but they didn't have to be honest. No. So a draw might have been, maybe with the chances we had at the end, the draw probably would have been the correct result, but I can't complain at the loss, to be honest.
No, I had a feeling it was one of them games where even if we'd come out of that game, if we were told before the game that we'd come out of it with a draw, I still think it'd have been quite disappointing, because Blackpool's, they came up with us. They've got a squad of similar stature, kind of team we need to be beating if you want to stay in the league, kind of thing. And obviously, when we've had such a good run of form and it's starting to curtail, we had 4 wins on the bounce, but then we've not won since. We've had a couple of draws and a couple of losses, and maybe it was a good thing that the Blackburn and Sheffield United games were called off, because we could be looking at 3 straight. Especially with Blackburn's form. It was one of them that it kind of glad. I mean, I think for me, and I don't know if you agree, Nathaniel. What's up?
Like I said, it was a shambles.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. In terms, for me, not enough of our best players were at the races that game, and I'm looking at likes of Honeyman, who had maybe a good 30 minutes or so. Jacob Greaves, who's usually quite reliable. What was your thoughts on it, Nathaniel? What did you think maybe we were lacking that game?
A goal, I suppose. Obvious answer. Yeah, it seemed a bit like a game. I think Blackpool had some COVID cases as well, that both teams weren't fully fit, so it was a decent, competitive game, but no team was really at their best. I'd have taken a draw from it, but it's a bit disappointing that, Blackpool, although they're much higher in the table than us, they'd won in 1 in 9 games or something. So, we're just the typical team that if a team's on that sort of run, we'll give them a win. I think it's, we knew this in August when the transfer window closed, but especially after the missed chances, we desperately need a striker. or 2, or maybe just buy 11 of them, just in case, or however many games we've got till the end of the season, just buy one for each game, because the finishing was that terrible. It's a bit worrying that if the takeover wasn't on the horizon, that game would make you worry about our chances of staying up, because that little phase we had of 4 games, that's gone now. If that's how we're going to play, against a team that has a similar sort of squad to us in terms of quality, then it is worrying. But I'm not worried just yet, because the takeover is definitely happening. So don't worry too much.
I mean, it's interesting because, obviously, we always have a debate. I think you look on Twitter conversations, you listen to people talking in the pub. Who should our starting two? The 2 strikers, who should be starting there? It's going to be different with every single person, and at the moment, you can't really justify starting any of them in a way.
We can't really.
Equally, you might as well play Lewis Potter and Longwood up there and get some other wing backs in or something. But
I was just going to say that. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, the options there. I mean, we're kind of lacking, because obviously with Emmanuel and Coyle being out, we're kind of limited in how we can play via the wing backs, because we need somebody who can do that role. Be energetic in doing it, because I don't think Callum Elder looked convincing in the 2 attempts he's had in this format. I know he might not be fully fit, and that's a bit harsh to say.
Well, he's definitely not fully fit now.
He definitely wasn't fully fit in that. No.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is for me, is you got to look at who asks the most questions of the opposition's back 4. And I know Tyler Smith hasn't scored yet, but from what I saw of him in that game, he offered more in the 70 minutes, how many? No, he didn't come on early, did he? Yeah, he did. He came on.
He did. He came on for.
Yeah,
he came on for Elder.
He had a good portion of the game, but he looked more threatening than Malik Wilks has done for about.
Yeah, he gets in
3
the
months.
areas, doesn't he?
Yeah, every time we tried a long ball over the top and we're asking questions to get him behind, Tyler Smith's sort of style of muscling into the defender and trying to get him behind them was causing their defence quite a lot of issues. And obviously he had a couple of good chances which he fluffed, but at the end of the day, he's also not played that often. So you got questions of your sharpness there. He's got to get back into the swing of things, and hopefully now that Wilkes is going to be out for 8 weeks, he's going to get a consistent run of games, and we might actually see the best of Tyler Smith. And then Eves as well. Possibly. I thought McGuinness was very. He might as well have not played for me. He didn't win a single header. His link-up play was poor. He might have been one of those that suffered COVID. I'm not sure, but he definitely didn't look like Norman McGuinness to me.
McGuinness is one of those who really he's quite bad for COVID, isn't it, as well for him? So if he did get it, he would have struggled.
But then also you got to ask the questions if Wilkes, if McGuinness and Elder, for example, did have that have COVID, why were they shoehorned straight into the team?
Well, maybe they didn't trust the academy players.
Or maybe
that.
It was a case of.
You don't trust Tom Eves.
But we don't know exactly who did and didn't get it, though. So, I mean, some of those who played well might have had it, for all we know.
Because it was actually quite a strong team for me. I don't know if you agree. I thought we were all
really.
Yeah, when we saw the lineup, it was quite a strong side. I actually got quite optimistic about our chances in the game from how strong the side was. But like we say, not enough players at the races for me. I thought Honeyman had a decent 30 minutes and then sort of went distant. Doherty was superb for me. Sean McLaughlin was really good. Really, really good. Saved us a couple of times. Some really good last-minute defending. And then Keane Lewis Potter was his usual exuberant self. He always looked dangerous and was always looking to ask questions. And he played about 4 different positions in that game, if I remember rightly. He started up front, didn't he, alongside McGuinness. Then he moved into left wing back. And then when we started throwing the kitchen sink at him, he were in the number 10.
It was in midfield.
Yeah. They dropped Honeyman deeper. So he's shown his versatility and he seems to be quite effective wherever he plays. But that's what we've come to expect of him now. I'll ask you then, Will. Was there any players that I'm going to ask you straight off. Jacob Greaves, that game, he wasn't at his usual standards at the minimum, was he?
I knew you asked me this because you know he's my fave. No, he wasn't. He looked off the boil a bit, to be fair. And I think Deshaun Bernard did as well, to be fair. I think McLaughlin was the only one who had a decent game overall. I don't know what's happened there, to be honest, because everything. Bowler just had him, which really annoyed me because Josh Bowler, when you'd ever play like that for Hull City, he just seemed to have his number every single time he went at him. He just could not deal with him at all.
Yeah, I think at some point in the first half, it looked evident that Blackpool were going to try and play on the counter, and they knew that we were going to play the three at the back. And with our wing backs being so advanced as they are, they were playing like a long ball out wide, and they were straight 1-on-1 with our whichever side they were on. So Josh Bowler on one side with Greaves was turning him inside out all the time because he was 1-on-1. And then I think it's Keshi Anderson, is it, that plays on the other side with Bernard? He had quite a tough time as well. And I think as much as we kind of played poorly, Blackpool did also set up quite well in the sense that they saw exploited it, and then players were very good at doing that. I think Smallwood struggled to keep up with sort of interplay amongst the front three. Was it Medine that played up front for Blackpool?
It was Medine, yeah.
He was very good. I think, barring Sean McLaughlin, he won pretty much every header that came his way and was holding it up and caused us all sorts of problems. And, this is the kind of endeavour and playing to your strengths that you need to play as, for me, if you're a side that's come up from League One, which we maybe don't do it sometimes, because I don't know if it came the same way to you, Nathaniel, listening, but I just felt like for large periods of that game, it just seemed like we were hitting the ball up pitch for no reason, because it just would come straight back to us every single time. There was no outlet for it.
Yeah, the second half we just didn't really get any chances until the very end, when you always do in a championship game, they just lump it long, but the team drops back when they're defending. So yeah, it just seemed just like a dead rubber game, that whatever we did, we could never really score. There just wasn't any creativity. And I mean, yeah, maybe this formation has been found out now, potentially. I don't know. We just need a bit of just a spark, and I think the penalty decision before that we were playing fairly well. I think
could have easily scored.
Yeah. Because Honeyman had that good chance, didn't he? But I think that just sort of killed the momentum in the game for us, and then after that, it wasn't one-way traffic. It was just sort of, like a cold New Year's Day game. Medine scoring a penalty is like just sort of dull sort of championship game. We can't really do much. But I think we really do need to find a spark, and hopefully the takeover will do that, because we've got a lot of good home games, winnable home games in a row, especially with Blackburn being postponed and moved. So we've got, is it 4 out of 5 home games now?
Yeah.
I know one's in the cup as well, but hopefully if the takeover does happen. But I mean, the Stoke game and maybe Preston and Swansea definitely are. So we need to make the most of it.
Yeah, in theory, the toughest team we've got to play is the away game at Bournemouth.
Easy win.
Yeah.
If you say so, Nathaniel.
Well, if Preston can win at Bournemouth, then so can we.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for me, obviously, there's a lot of factors that might have played into it. Like, the games was called off. We had a COVID-ravaged squad. Fitness might have been down, so we're not playing to as good as we know we can. I just think it was more frustrating coming away from a game that, they went clearly better in a way that dictated they should have come away with 3 points, but we've lost because of a penalty. And it was more, maybe, Bowler played for that. He played for that all the time. He would come in on his left-hand side, on his left foot, and he tried to get into the box, and he coaxed Greaves in and won the penalty, and that's ultimately won them the game, which is most frustrating. But there is argument, obviously, their goalkeeper Grimshaw. I would say at least 3 or 4 world-class saves in that game. It was we were absolutely dumbfounded in the crowd, weren't we? And them especially them couple in the last minute. They were.
I have no idea.
Ridiculous. But were they good saves, or was it he needs to score for you?
It's both.
Well, yeah.
But,
I mean, most good saves are just it's straight at them. Like, yeah, he saved the Smith one, but Smith kicked it straight at him. You know.
It's still a good reaction save though.
Well, yeah,
but
it's
a bit of both.
Yeah, but even if he'd stayed still, Tyler Smith probably wouldn't have scored. So, which is a bit worrying.
But he asks questions, which is more than what Wilkes has been doing.
When he gets his goal, or if he gets his goal, then hopefully I'll get a bit of confidence. But until you do, because he's not scored at this level before, to be fair. You know, he's hardly scored in front of a crowd in his short career. So, you know, and it's a lot of pressure for, you know, a young lad coming up to another division to just hit the ground running when you've hardly played. But he still should have scored. I'd have scored that.
Do you think maybe then, like, because you've mentioned pressure there, do you think maybe we, as fans, and obviously the strikers themselves will be knowing and staff will be telling them, you know, the lack of goals from our strikers this season ultimately has been our biggest Achilles heel, because obviously our goals
absolutely
our wing backs. Do you think maybe they're sort of heaping too much pressure on themselves because of the situation? Like, obviously they might not be able to help that. It's sort of that external pressure. They know that they're being watched and they know they're being judged, and you know, we as fans,
should be.
We can be quite critical at times. And
yeah, I don't think it's unrealistic or, you know, asking too much for one of our 4 strikers to be even close to okay, you know, after half a season. Like that, we don't want to, you know, of course we'd love someone to score 30 goals, but we're not expecting that. Just someone to, you know, score every now and again. Like, that's all we ask.
Yeah, because the goal scoring stats amongst our strikers is poor, and it was it McGuinness. Is it easy on 2?
McGuinness is on 2. Eves is on 1.
Wilson's on 3.
And Smith's on 0. So what's that?
Yeah, so it's not a good goal return.
6 between 4 strikers.
Well, our top scorer is a wing back
by January.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, it has been obvious where we've needed to improve for a long time, I think. But obviously, with the transfer embargo in summer and stuff, and realistically, if you'd have told us at the beginning of the season that the front 3 that scored so many last season would struggle this season, well, maybe excluding Lewis Potter, you'd probably have been like, nah, I don't believe that whatsoever. But obviously now system change. Hopefully that you know, with a fully fit squad and time to get over any COVID related illnesses and getting back up to 100% and like we said, maybe Tyler Smith getting that first goal and getting up and running and get that confidence firing and going for it might be what we need, but it might be too late for maybe a couple of them. I would imagine if a new owner's coming in, he's going to be looking at that position.
Yeah, that will not have been a good advert for a lot of them players.
So you got to be thinking, you know, a few of them will be thinking, right, where's my future at the minute? Because, you know, with the takeover, you sort of forget what might be going through the players' heads. No matter how many times they come out in the press and say, we're just focusing on the next game, you can guarantee that they go home on a night and wonder, you know, if you got to think, you know, Malik Wilkes maybe is thinking, do I want to be here if we're going to play a 3-5-2? Maybe you don't want to play a striker kind of thing. You know, you've got to ask these kind of questions. But other than our players maybe having a bit of a lackadaisical game, I do want to bring the topic of a certain card-wielding marauder in the middle of the pitch.
Thank you for this. Because I thought you were going to miss out Dean Whitestone, you absolute wanker.
No, I was never, ever not going to mention him. I do think that he was probably a massive reason for our players sort of getting a bit of a lack. Because, you know, if the ref gets in your head and you feel like the game is stop-start all the time and you start getting frustrated as a player, you start making poor decisions, don't you? So I think we had bad second half based on his performance in the middle for the vast majority of the game, where the players were just thinking, you know, nothing's going our way, and the Blackpool team took advantage of that, and you know, pretty much every 50-50 was theirs.
Across the 90 minutes, he made one good decision, and it was the penalty.
Yeah.
Everything else was flawed. I thought I was having a look when I was coming back from the game. I thought I'd have a look and see. He's refereed us 4 times this season, Dean Whitestone, more than any other club. What he refereed our 1-0 loss to Derby at the KC, which I remember being pretty shit refereeing. He refereed our 3-1 loss to Sheffield United, which I remember being pretty awfully refereed. He refereed our 1-0 loss to West Brom, which I don't actually remember seeing, to be honest. And then he's refereed this. So whenever he referees us, we seem to have a shit time.
Yeah. I mean, lost most games this season, though, so that's the most refs.
We've not won many.
I can remember that Sheffield United game and that Derby game in particular being pretty bad refereeing.
Yeah, I do.
Well, both managers in the press conference complained about the refs, so you know you've done something bad.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, I spoke to a Blackpool fan after the game, and he seemed confused as to why we were mad with the ref, and I was stood there in complete amazement, thinking he was just winding me up, because I've never that's the most frustrated I've been at a referee in a long time. And then that he turned around and was like, well, I don't understand why, because he gave everything to you. And I was like, what? Because I think I explicitly remember a time where we were through on goal and he pulled it back for a foul that had nothing to do with any of our players or something. He was mad.
We apparently committed twice as many fouls as Blackpool, so I don't know where your friend has got that from.
No. I mean, the penalty decision, at the time, I thought it looked like he won the ball, but looking back,
it was a penalty.
But apparently, Blackpool were through on goal, and instead of playing play on, he brought it back for a foul or something. I think it was mentioned.
I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember. I mean, we wouldn't, would we? But
I mean, I remember Tyler Smith going through on goal but apparently he managed to outmuscle Richard Keogh.
And somehow it was a foul, yeah. So you don't want to blame officials sometimes, but I feel like he had a big hand in maybe
we didn't play well, regardless, but he was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
on the commentary. Agreed. He was absolutely livid as well. He's supposed to be impartial, stuff, but he wasn't.
Right. So that's that. I think it puts Blackpool on 33 points, which is kind of the position we would obviously love to be in. I mean, we're still at the bottom 3. It's a good job that Barnsley and Peterborough are also struggling just as much as us at the minute.
Well, they're just terrible. Yeah. If we go down below, any of those two, we should be embarrassed because they're terrible. I'm scared about Derby though. They terrify me. Like I know they shouldn't. But they're scary.
Well, I mean, it'd be on 32 points if they hadn't had a deduction. Yeah, so there'd be 13 for Bowles. So,
I mean, they've got a good squad. It's like that was the thing when we were so annoyed that Derby beat at that time.
They've got a good
Derby should be whipping boys, but they've got a really good experienced squad. They've just got a very small squad.
Yeah,
what they've got is an awesome centre back.
Yeah, Curtis Davis is like single-handedly pulling him through a game.
Put him up front. That's what we need.
Yeah, Davis saved us, didn't he? With that,
honestly,
bring it back.
If we do have lots of money to spend with the new takeover, all we should do is sign Derby, Barnsley, and Peters's best players. Send them down, and we'll stay up. They're not going to turn down Derby's players. Aren't going to turn down the money. They're on like £2 a week, so Just sign Tom Lawrence and Kazim Richards, and we'll be fine.
I don't think I'd want Tom Lawrence. I'm not a big fan.
We don't need to play them. Just put them on the bench so they can't play for Derby.
Did you just use the Turkish connection there, Nathaniel?
Oh, is Kazim Richards? Is he Turkish? Yeah. Well, he'll do. He scored more than all our other strikers.
And I think he's played like at least 75% less games than them.
Well, he's scored in his last 3 games, and he's played half an hour off the bench each time. So technically, he scored a hat trick off the bench in a game. So,
I mean, to be fair, we're talking a bit about transfers at the minute, then. So we might as well just move on to transfers, and then we'll talk about the Everton game last. I'm thinking, with the takeover impending, it's similar, like obviously with Newcastle at the minute as well. New guy coming in. We're not entirely sure what his financial backing is. We don't. There's rumours that there's a billionaire that's backing him.
I don't think that's real rumour.
That's bollocks.
I think that's wishful thinking personally. But you've now got your transfer rumours beginning. So we've got the like Burak Yilmaz.
What was that? Burak Yilmaz?
Burak Yilmaz. The couple that you've just sent in the chat, Nathaniel. What was it? Luis Gustavo.
Hidemasa Morita.
Yeah.
Fucking silly season, lads.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I find it very odd that there's transfer rumours coming from an owner who has yet to actually be confirmed to be owner of the club. So I think I'll start believing transfer rumours when it's actually done and through, because I can't see them actively pursuing players when they don't actually own the club yet.
I mean, they'll have a list of people they want.
Yeah, they've probably tapped up some players, like they've spoken to some agents, just like, well, if we get this club, we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to go for the Turkish connections as well, obviously, because from his past comments about wanting to bring Turkish players or staff through. But realistically, I think we need to be looking at players who have been there, done that in the Championship before. I don't know if you guys agree. I think one that I saw today, Rotherham, Freddie Ladapo, striker, just handed in a transfer request.
I'm all over that, 100%.
Yeah,
and
exactly the sort of level we should be realistically looking at. Yeah,
he's that build, isn't he? That we wanted Eves and McGuinness to be, like, quite big and physical, but he's averaged more goals a game in the Championship, and that was for Rotherham, who went down. I think it's something like a goal every 2.5 games, was it?
Yeah, he scored 9 last season.
Yeah, he's 12.
He outperformed his expected goals, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, so, they're the kind. I mean, and it's another one where you're going to sign someone from League One and people are going to complain because you're signing players from the league below.
Yeah,
kind of thing. You can't win, can you? You've got to come in and apparently show a lot of ambition by signing players who wouldn't possibly want to come here because they're in a better situation elsewhere. That's sometimes what I can't get my head around is, people, it's all well and good saying, well, why are we signing players from leagues below? It's like, because we can't sign the ones from above us because we're in a relegation fight. Sometimes you got to think a bit of logic, can't you? Is there any names that you've seen then, Will, that you're quite interested or even ones that have not been mentioned that you think we should maybe try and pursue?
Well, I know Erling Haaland's looking for a new club.
Yeah, that's a good shot. If we've got a billionaire on it, maybe.
I've not really looked at most of the rumours because of, as you said, we haven't got taken over yet. I mean, obviously, there's the ones like the Kosovan striker. Is it Meg? I'm not going to pronounce his name.
Ricci.
There we go. Which obviously is come and gone. But apart from the names which Nathaniel put in our chat like 10 minutes before the podcast, I've not really noticed any. And I want to be linked with someone related to that, Shota Arveladze as well.
Vato Arveladze.
Another midfielder, because apparently we just want to sign all the midfielders.
He's apparently a winger or a striker or a midfielder, but whatever he is, he's rubbish.
And my personal favourite, which I suggested every single week, Burak Yilmaz.
I think he would actually, in a weird way, I kind of want to believe that one because with him being so
not fucking happening,
towards the end of his career, what is he, 37, 38?
Yes, but he's currently playing for a Champions League club that's currently the champions of France as well.
Yeah, we'll be Champions League next year.
It probably will be.
Yeah, I mean, that's impossible.
I'm going to throw this one then, because obviously he's linked with us pretty much every single transfer window at the minute. Regan Slater. What's his thoughts on that one? Because it's weird, because I actually really do like him, but currently as it stands...
I don't know. It feels weird. I don't think we need him.
No, we don't.
One thing I've noticed, actually, when I've briefly looked at the transfer rumours is, everyone was going on about... Everyone took those words out of context about the Turkish team and thought, oh, it's just going to be... But have you know, most of the rumours, there's been a few Turkish, but a lot of them haven't been Turkish players.
Well, there's been Japanese, Kosovan, Georgian,
English,
Senegalese, all sorts. I think but several of them have been linked. Well,
American.
Have played in.
Is that Brian from Roma?
Exactly, yeah. So maybe they've played in Turkey rather than because you wouldn't necessarily. I don't know about the English players playing in, France or whatever, but I do know about the French players playing in England. So yeah, maybe that's it. Because Turkey, like I looked on FIFA, and there aren't actually that many Turkish players that are any good on it. The most reliable source, but that just shows that maybe we'll be looking for like players just from that league rather than just Turkish players.
I mean, I think there's a couple of rumours, isn't there, about...
Yeah, the only rumour I really believe that could actually be proper is that Emirhan Erdogan, the one who was at Berzespor, whatever, because he's now a free transfer.
Yeah,
he was at Berzespor. He's been linked with us. I think he's been linked with us before, actually, as well. I think he got linked with us in the summer. And that one just feels, because he's not at a club, he's free. That's very Hull City.
Yeah, I mean, that one I believe might actually happen because it's been linked a lot.
The moment I think has something on it.
Yeah, and I think
that's the only one that seems to have had any traction lately.
Yeah, the Merici one. I believe the Merici one, but I don't think we'll sign him. But I do believe that with the amount of links, exactly. But I think they did want him, but I don't think we'll get him. I don't want him either, really. Honestly, if we did just have this money and we did want to spend $8.5 million on some striker from Lazio that's not scored all season, can't we just spend the money on someone actually good rather than who just happens to be from Turkey?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would much rather see that $8.5 million reinvested in maybe signing Bernard, Baxter, Longman, obviously, rather than gambling on a player who hasn't played in the Championship before. I mean, now that we've mentioned Ryan Longman, there is a couple of, maybe taken with a pinch of salt, rumours that Brighton may want to call him back. I mean, it's just a general consensus that Brighton are looking to call players back. It might not be. But...
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they mean necessarily Longman because they do have a fair few players out on loan. I don't know whether they need any wingers. They seem to have a fair few of those anyway.
What Nathaniel's trying to say is over his dead body.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's also whispers that Matt Smith might be going back. Obviously, not playing at the minute. So gone into Exodus right now.
I don't get why he was frozen out the squad. I don't think we'll ever find out why he was frozen out the squad. But there's no point in having him.
He got frozen out the squad because George Honeyman came back.
No, it happened before then. It happened over an international break.
Yeah.
He didn't appear at all.
He hasn't appeared at all
since. Something happened while he was on international break with Wales.
Maybe.
Well, there was some comments made, weren't there, about... I can't remember what the context was, but McCann mentioned something, didn't he, about he wasn't happy with... I don't know if it was the amount of minutes he played or he played too much. I need to get the...
Why is that resulted in him not playing any minutes at all since?
Yeah.
I think we'll never find out what's happened there, but he's taken up a loan space and he's not being played. We might as well send him back.
I mean, it's the same for...
Man City on loan.
It's the same for Moncur and Cannon. Like, maybe they've played a bit more, but like those three midfielders, they don't seem to get a look in.
Where the hell's Moncur gone?
Yeah.
Cannon's
almost forgotten about him too.
Appearances off the bench. Moncur's just completely disappeared off the face of the earth.
Because Moncur was one of those who actually showed some sort of forward-thinking, progressive style of play. I know sometimes he was a bit wasteful with the ball and maybe his set pieces could have been better, but he actually looked like he wanted to try and help us score goals. And he seemed he could play either on the wing or in midfield, so he'd be quite a handy player to have around. But again, he's another one who's just, strangely just vanished. I think maybe a chance at this Everton game to bring a few of these players that have been sort of cast out in a way. I mean, we'll get on to that obviously because we're going to be talking about the Everton game, but I mean, it depends what we're aiming to do in that game, whether or not we want to actually go out there and win that, or give some other players a go. But realistically, I think, so other than striker then, what positions do we actually need? Because I personally, obviously we do not need midfield for me. Even if we lost Matt Smith, we wouldn't need another midfielder for me because we have jam-packed in that position.
We'll all sign one, though. Judging by the rumours, it looks like they only care about centre mid.
I think because he's refusing to play Fleming, I think he's going to look for another left back. Because you would think he would have given Fleming a chance at some point.
Yeah, either side really. Because obviously, if we sign a right, because I think Lewis Potter and Longman have shown they can play either side anyway. But then you've got
on the right side, we've got Coyle, Emmanuel, and Longman now, so we're kind of sorted depth-wise on that side.
But
when does Coyle come back?
When does Emmanuel come back?
When does Emmanuel come back? We don't know.
Who knows?
You know what I mean? It's one of these where do you gamble and not sign another right back because you've got another two in the bank that might come back soon?
Might be more of a loan deal that you'd maybe look at.
See, I saw a couple of clubs are apparently in for that. Harry Toffolo from Huddersfield, and I personally think when we played Huddersfield that first season, well, the disastrous season that we went down, he was very good at bombing up and down the line and even contributed with a couple of goals every now and again. And I think he would be perfect mould for the kind of wing back that we need to balance defence and attack. I think they're the kind of players we need to be looking at that have got experience in this league but can play this system, because I know that at the minute this system's working okay, but I do think there's obviously some glaring weaknesses in the sense that we are playing strikers as wing backs and defensively it's maybe not the best. And then in terms of actually like contributing to a very inexperienced young back three, we do need an experienced head, whether that be a wing back or another centre back possibly. But you know what centre backs are free at the minute that have got sort of championship experience. I think it's going to be a tough window, especially even if we are taking over. I wouldn't like us to see. I wouldn't like us to see us splashing loads of money on players that we've never heard of and never seen, and potentially upset some of the squad that we've got there already, kind of thing. That's
it. It's hard to work out with a takeover coming on the horizon as well. It's just no idea what's going on really.
Yeah, I mean the only positions like we say you can justify maybe beefing up is maybe get rid of a couple from midfield, either let one of the loan players go back or send one of ours out on loan, like Cannon maybe, who might not get as much game time. I would personally maybe. It's tough, because I really like Tom Eaves, but if we're going to get rid of a striker, he'd be the one who would go for me. I don't know why.
I'd get rid of all of them.
I was going to say him and McGuinness, I think, are level at the moment.
Yeah. I like Eaves' contribution when he came on. He threw himself up. I'm not every time he won a header, it was a foul apparently, but he looked far more. He gave more contribution to the game than McGuinness did. That was definite. And I think I like that Eaves-Smith partnership. I thought he looked quite good. And the thing is, for a big guy, he gets around, There was one point where he was in like left back, wasn't there? And he were blocking them putting a cross in, and it was amazing to see. That is what you want to see, though, as a fan, innit? Maybe if they're not the best players, at least play the ones who are going to go out there and give 100% for 90 minutes.
To be honest, I'd rather see my left back blocking a shot at left back. I'd rather my striker be stood in the box, not the one putting the cross in, which happens a lot with Eaves.
He does. That's the thing. Again, Eaves, crosses the ball so much. I'm like, what are you doing there?
You should be able to your own cross.
10 feet tall. Yeah.
There was another name actually I wanted to throw in there because I think when he came on, he did really well. And Randell Williams looks like he could be a very good option to use as a wing back because he is very fast. There was one point where he chased down what looked like a lost cause and managed to recover it, and we got a chance from it, I think. And obviously, he nearly scored with that cross to the far post. That was a good chance. I think he looks decent, in terms of if we're going to use attacking wing backs in that sense with Lewis Potter, Longman, and Randell Williams. He could be another option on the right hand side if we wanted to justify maybe signing another left-sided player. But I'd like to see Williams get a chance against Everton personally.
I think he probably will.
Yeah, probably.
Right, so to round up then this transfer thing, we're saying we need at least maybe one or two strikers. Potentially a more experienced centre half.
Yeah.
don't want to drop any of that defence.
No, you
No,
don't
but
have
you
to
need
drop them.
backup,
You don't
don't
have
you?
to drop them. It's just,
The backup's Alfie
head to be in
Jones.
there to,
Yeah, but
maybe
he
for
can't
like,
play
for example, when
3
Greaves
positions.
is not firing on all cylinders, let him have a rest, bring in somebody else who can help sort of,
Yeah.
it's cover. It's important cover because at the moment, who do we bring in at centre back? I know we've got Alfie Jones to come back. I don't know when he's
I've got a
back,
name for you, Anne, that you'll love. It's a
What?
lovely reference to that no one else will get. And why do we go for someone like James Chester?
I would actually love to go for James Chester. I wouldn't drop him for Sean McLaughlin for him right now, though. That's an absolute definite. But I would like to have him in the squad. Just get the band back together. Get Brucey back in as well. Screw it.
Because it's worked so well with
Curtis
bringing
Davies.
Harrison back.
Curtis Davies, Michael Dawson. He chats shite on Sky Sports at the minute. Get him in. And potentially then, I would say personally a left-sided wing back. To me, because the thing is, I actually like Callum Elder, but I just don't think he'll be right for this system. I know we've only seen him play.
I think he's better as a normal fullback.
Yeah,
than as a
I
wing
think
back.
he has too much of him to be up and down that side.
Yeah, I mean, although what formation are we going to play if the takeover goes through? We might sign a wing back and then.
This is why it's so confusing. We don't know what the hell's going on.
That's why we can only really go off what we're currently doing right now and just assume that will continue. For me, that's how I would treat this transfer window because we don't even know if they're going to want to keep McCann.
We can't go back to 4-3-3. We cannot.
No, hopefully not. I mean, I think he's waiting for his chance to do so. I just don't think he feels like he has enough players to.
He's plotting.
To do it at the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, we've not won for a few games yet, so he might see this now as an opportunity to go. Well, look, I tried the system and it worked for a bit, but now it's gone crap again, so I'm going back. But hopefully,
if somehow we do that against Everton and win with 4-3-3, he'll never change back again. It'll be terrible.
Yeah.
He'll just have to be sacked.
he'll be doing some like sinister Mark Hamill Joker-esque laugh in his post-match interview.
I mean, he would be. He would be.
Right. So we'll move on to the Everton game then. Obviously, a nice break from the league. A team that's struggling that maybe we could fancy ourselves against.
It's one of those games where it will either be a proper cup tie, or because it's on telly as well, which helps. I think usually helps it make it well. Or they're gonna fucking smash us.
Nah, I don't know.
It's
Everton,
one or the other.
They've really not been very good this season. I mean, I went on the Toffee TV YouTube channel to do the preview with them. And I mean, although he predicted a 1-0 win to Everton, but he said he had to. So I don't think he was that confident at all, really.
It's the perfect sort of banana skin game. But it's also like I say, it's not a game where Dominic Calvert-Lewin's back. So he'll play him to get some fitness and he'll fucking bag a hat-trick in.
Well, yeah, but he did.
It's that sort of game.
He did miss a penalty recently.
Exactly. He'll have something to prove now against some shitty little championship club.
Nah, I think we'll batter them.
I mean, I like the optimism. So, what would we do then?
I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a really good chance for some. It's a really good fucking chance of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully backed by quite a large crowd. I know some people might be waiting last minute to buy tickets because.
Well, I've noticed. I actually looked earlier on the ticket site, and the East stand is almost all completely sold out.
That's good.
And a good bit of the South stand is sold out as well. And I'm not sure about the West. I'd have to look again.
I do think there's a large portion of fans that are actually waiting until it's confirmed before they buy tickets.
But it's not going to be confirmed.
Probably not, no.
They need to make... Well, Baz, obviously, tonight as we record, Baz Cooper's announced that Adjun's going to be at the game.
Yeah.
So hopefully him saying that will create a spike of people buying tickets.
Possibly.
And I don't know if it is going to be, but they need to make it pay on the day as well, really.
Hopefully, it gets announced and then they can parade themselves around the stadium.
I get the feeling it's not going to happen until next week now. The announcement.
It's been months.
No, it'll probably wait till after the Everton game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next week.
No,
it'll be Stoke. First game will be Stoke, and then they'll reconsider.
Yeah. How exciting!
Yeah, nice cold Oh, it should be on a Tuesday as well, so they get like the proper introduction to English football.
It'll be on TV again though, so Sky will be happy with that.
No, so we'll lose then. We'll lose on Sky. But with the Everton game, then team, are we playing full strength? I mean, can we afford to not? Have we got enough players to?
I mean, because of the COVID thing, you might want to play quite a few of them due to fitness. You might want to try and get their match fitness back up. So I think because we don't. When is the next game after it? Is it the following Saturday or is it the Tuesday?
It's the following Sunday.
Well, there's an extra week there, so I think you should play the full strength side. You can.
I think so.
You wouldn't bring any of the fringe players in. You like Huddleston, Randell Williams. You won't bring any of them. Matt Ingram.
I mean, I won't call Huddleston a fringe player. It's a weird one.
Well, he is at the minute.
He is, but
he's beyond fringe.
Is it a fringe? Is he making the team worse?
He's playing.
Is it just a parting?
Smallwood's keeping him out of the team.
I think he'll probably make a couple of changes. I'd like to see players like. I mean, he'll have to make a couple of changes anyway due to injury. Like Elder won't be playing, so he'll be putting Keane Lewis-Potter probably back there if he's going to play him, or he'll play Brandon Fleming. So there'll be a change somewhere in there at least, and I think he'll probably drop one of the defenders for Alfie Jones and one of the midfielders somewhere for Huddleston.
Yeah, because I mean that's what they usually say. Oh, we'll play the strong team and we want to win the game, and then there will be 11 changes.
Yeah, I remember someone saying that it's for reasons really to play a full strength side for both managers because McCann could have a new owner in the stands that he needs to impress.
Everton need to win it.
And Rafa needs to win to save his job. So he probably will be sacked if we beat him. Because he
will be. He'll be sacked if we beat them. He will likely be sacked.
So
they can't not sack him.
It might be a full strength versus full strength, but personally, I'd like to see maybe a couple of the players get a chance. I'd like to see.
I object to calling our side full strength when we're going to have Eves up front. I know that's insulting, but even so.
It's the strongest it can be.
It doesn't matter what front two you put up at the minute; it could still be considered full strength because they all offer the same, don't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, the consistent quality across our front line has been great because they're all equally as terrible.
I suppose what we could do then. So we'll go. I won't going to do this, but I will do. We'll go for starting 11s, and I'm going to say mine first because I feel like I'm on a revolutionary call. So I'm going to.
He's going to play a back six.
I'm going to play 4 up front and 2 at the back.
Lovely.
Put Matt Ingram in goal. We'll let him have another shot.
Why not?
Fair enough.
There was no reason for him to be dropped. I would say the back 3, I would give Greaves a rest because I think he looked a bit off the weather against Blackpool, and I would bring Alfie Jones in, and then you can put Maka back out the left because obviously he's left-footed. So your back 3 is Bernard, Jones, and McLaughlin. I would have Fleming in left wing back, and I would have Randell Williams in right wing back. I'd have Huddleston in the defensive midfield role, deep line playmaker, whatever you want to call it, whatever Football Manager reference you want to make. I would probably rest Honeyman only on the sense that I really think we need him in the league desperately, and I wouldn't want to risk him in this game. It's the same for Doherty, though, to be fair as well, because he was superb against Blackpool. The
thing is, Doherty doesn't need to rest because he never gets tired.
Yeah, Doherty's an absolute engine, isn't he? But I mean, we've got a lot of midfielders in there that could probably, like we said, where's Moncur and where's like Matt Smith, Cannon. We've got options there, and we just don't seem to be using them. So I would imagine he's going to play Honeyman and Doherty, and have Huddleston behind them, and then have Lewis-Potter and Longman up top.
I like it.
It's interesting.
I would say I agree with most of that, to be fair. I'm actually thinking about it. I don't know what I'd change from your lineup, to be honest. But I would definitely play Huddleston for the fact that it's a Premier League team that we're playing, and he's better suited to Premier League football than he would be.
I mean, Huddleston offers something different to Smallwood in the sense that his possession retention and being able to actually dictate the state of play will be very important playing against a side we assume is going to have the majority of the possession. So when we've got the ball, we need to make sure we're using it well, or potentially to play us out of a high press. I don't know what kind of style Rafa plays with Everton. I'm not going to pretend to. But if they're going to press us high, Huddleston's going to be key to getting past that for me with an accurate long diag for whoever's playing wing back to get in behind for. So it would be quite important for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, carry on. Who else would you have?
I mean, I'd probably, to be honest, the only change I'd maybe make from yours, to be honest, is maybe Randell Williams out, Longman there, and Eve up front. But I'm not. I like either way, to be honest.
I mean, the only reason I put them two up top is because we've just sat here and we've complained about all four of our strikers not being able to do anything. So put two other players up there and see what they can do.
Yeah,
because I really liked Randell Williams and I think he'll be a good player. And I think
just have him play. Yeah, have him play as like a false two, and just have Doherty and Honeyman constantly switching about with them.
Yeah. What about you then, Nathaniel?
Oh, I think Ingram and goal is probably a good shout. And I think maybe maybe Jones along with Bernard and McLaughlin. I think that's solid. Maybe I guess I think he might go just the usual like midfield three, possibly. It's difficult. It's really difficult to say, but I just said I wouldn't do many changes because I think we could beat Everton. I'd want to see. I'd want to see just the same 11, except maybe. I'm just trying to work out how I can drop every striker. I'd have Longman up front, of course. I'd have Longman up front. I guess I think Randell Williams could be
a number 9.
No, I'm not doing that. No. He hasn't got the pace. We'll play Longman up front, Williams and Lewis Potter wing backs. And then just because I have so little trust in our strikers, I might recall James Scott. That'll do. I know he's not scored any in Scotland, but like we just need something fresh. No, striker-wise, I have no confidence really in any of them at all, especially against Premier League team. But I'd probably just like the strongest 11 with Eves and Smith, I guess. That's fairly realistic. Yeah.
I mean, he could even switch the systems back for a game or something and try and limit the amount of defenders he's using.
Yeah, I mean, it might be more if we do play 3 at the back. It'll definitely be more like 5 at the back anyway. Yeah. If Everton have the ball, although they have been quite bad. Like you say, Huddleston should play because it's playing a Premier League team, but they've been playing like a Championship team this season. So, yeah.
Right then, we'll go for a score prediction then. Will, what are you saying?
4-0 City.
Okay.
Nathaniel? A bit pessimistic. Well, I'll go with the same one I went on Toffee TV, which is entertaining 2-2.
2-2.
Lovely Desmond.
Yes,
do we have replays? I can't remember.
I don't believe there is replays.
Oh. Is it they both have to agree to a replay before they play or something?
Yeah.
I'm about to check it now, actually.
I'm sure I saw some rule changes. Or I might have been.
Well, I thought they said on the podcast I was on that they're not doing replays.
No, there's no replays. It's going to go to extra time and penalties.
So who wins on pens?
Us.
Or in extra time?
With the home crowd.
Tom Eves scoring the winner, coming on off the bench.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Winning penalty. I'm going to say a 2-1 win to us. I'm going to say
that's nice.
The magic of the cup.
I mean, after the Blackpool game, we shouldn't be this optimistic, really. We're playing Everton. You know, we got to remember that.
But it's the cup. Anything can happen in the cup.
It's going to be 4-0. And like I say, Smallwood's going to come off the bench and fucking Ronnie Radford, that bastard, right into the top corner.
To be fair, I'd love Huddleston to score an absolute pearler.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but he's known for him. That's why I said someone who doesn't score.
He's got some good long range technique.
I hope Longman has an absolute stinker so Brighton don't recall him.
Okay.
We win, but he has a bad time.
Yes, he scores an own goal, so it's 4-1 instead. Yeah.
So it's a clean sweep of wins and no variations. Very optimistic podcast today. Now that you mentioned James Scott, I actually want to ask a couple of questions about him. Now, what do you do with James Scott? Apparently, there's rumours that he's going to come back. Do we bring him in and try and incorporate him into the team?
I mean, quite honestly, as Nathaniel has already mentioned about the strike force being so poor, he may be worth bringing back and giving a go.
He's played 5 games in Scotland. He's terrible, Sell him for £2. Release him. Release him.
He might be worth bringing back and just giving a go.
Yeah, recall him and don't play him at all.
James, if you're listening to this, we do believe in you, and if you do come back into the squad,
yes, I hope he's not listening because wow, they already hate
You're
me.
knackered.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is he was clearly signed as a player that had high potential.
Yeah,
he was one of those players that we never saw. Well, maybe in 1 or 2 games, he played okay, and then for the rest of it, didn't really seem to have any sort of. For me, I always thought he was more of a central player. I didn't like him out wide. He always drifted into the middle, and we had no outlet on that side. So maybe it would be worth maybe trying him up front. Especially if you let one of the other strikers go, you could use him as part of the front 4 kind of thing. But for me personally, I would probably send him back out on loan, but somewhere that he's, maybe right into the terms that he needs to play a certain amount of games if they're going to take him. Because for me, he's probably, football's always confidence, and especially as an attacking player, it's confidence sort of dictates how well you do at that time. And they'll go in purple patches and then they'll have bad patches. And we might just be seeing, we seem to forget his first taste of English football was that horrific end of the season that we had. And then was in League One and he couldn't really get a sniff. And then we sent him out on loan to Scotland. So he's had quite a disjointed. I know the attempt. Well, the games that we've played him in, he's not really pulled up any trees to suggest we give him a chance. But I'd like to see him go on loan to a club and sort of rekindle his confidence to be able to actually come back and see that potential that he quite obviously was supposed to have had.
To be fair, it probably would be, because I would actually like thinking about it. I'd like to see players like Josh Hines and Will Jarvis get a chance. When I think about it, over James Scott, maybe give some of the youth players a chance.
How desperate can we be if we want to recall James Scott, who's not scored
in
at all?
In terms of the striker department,
I don't know if that's the reason for the recall. It sounds more like the reason for the recall is because he's not playing.
All the club aren't happy with him. Something like that. Might be a slight attitude.
So it might be a case of bringing him back to send him back out on loan elsewhere.
Yeah.
Send him to Scunny, then he plays.
Well, but why not? Because it's English football. It's not far. It helps them.
That's.
They need all the help they can get.
Yeah.
So in other words,
might be
that's a good point actually. What you want about Scunny? Let him fucking go down to non-league.
Oh yeah, my apologies.
If they help one of our prospects get good, I'm not bothered. They can go down.
Carlisle to send Scunny down.
I'd rather send him to a different club. Scunny, get fucked off.
But yeah, like we say, we have got quite a few finishers that have got an eye for goal in the youth squad. You've got to think, Jarvis, Snellgrove. We've got a good set of players that we could actually give an opportunity to.
It may be worth taking a risk with one of them.
Yeah, and we've obviously recalled a couple off a loan spell, so maybe they're a plan to be involved in this game. You don't know, they might be on the bench and give them a couple of chances against some Premier League standard players. Experience is vital to these lads, isn't it? Right then, so before we finish, we'll just have a last one on the takeover then, because obviously I know we've sort of touched on it, but realistically, or we're hoping for, if everything crossed, this will be the last podcast we record.
I'm not saying that.
I will say this again next week. But hopefully the Alam's tenure is actually coming to an end. I think. Oh
no, it's happening. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, so hopefully this is. I mean, obviously we've got the Phil Brown episode coming on. What day is it now? What are we on? Monday, isn't it? So recording the Phil Brown episode on Monday. So hopefully that by that time, with a new owner, and we can actually start looking forward to Action's tenure, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's certainly more positive than what we would be getting right now under the Lambs, and lack of investment and sort of just stagnating in what we're doing. But hopefully, we start seeing crowds come back to the stadium. So hopefully Everton's packed out, like we said. When the takeover does go through, I hope to see a few of us back that said we'd never returned while the Lambs were there. If you're going to make that claim, then you've got to put your money where your mouth is when it happens, and they've gone. I know maybe some of the circumstances at the minute with COVID, and you might have found another hobby, but the lads deserve our support. And when we've got a takeover, let's get in there and pack the stadium out again, because we know we can do it. We did it in the lower league, so let's do it again. And unless there's anything that you guys want to add on to that,
I'll add something.
Go for it.
Watch me absolutely butcher this new transfer rumour's name.
Okay, go on.
I've seen this all be recorded as well.
Allahya Saya Madananesh,
Okay.
who is a young Fenerbahce forward who has scored 12 goals whilst at loan at the prestigious club Zorya Luhansk.
Get him in.
So get him in. I don't know who he is, of course, but
I'll take any striker at the minute that's scoring goals, no matter what level it's at.
Yeah, I mean, James gotten him up front on Saturday.
Yes.
That'll do.
Yes.
Question: is any of the Fenerbahce squad not going to get linked with us at any point?
No. I mean, because the kit's so similar as well, because it's kind of yellow and dark blue. It's kind of that same sort of thing. So
what you mean is it's got stripes?
Easy to Photoshop, I guess.
Yeah, it's easier to just press the fill button on your Photoshop.
Yeah. It's easy transfer rumours, though, isn't it? It's like what we're seeing at the minute. Because of what he said, and obviously the fact that he's Turkish, it's very, very easy rumour building to just say they're going to sign this Turkish geezer.
It does make a difference than every player from Doncaster and Peterborough, though.
Oh yeah,
that is nice.
Yeah, it's nice not to be linked with free agents or players that we can't possibly afford for another 2 years, like Dion Charles. Dion Charles, who apparently was worth £5 million and has now gone to Bolton for 300k.
It's just mad. Yeah, I'm glad. I think we dodged a bullet with that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I think.
Why I was clamouring. To be honest, that rumor might have just come from me. The time I got it on that whole Daily Mail by just making it up, and then 3 years later or something, I was desperate for us to sign him, even though I made up the rumor.
My favourite transfer rumour I've seen so far actually is some idiot somewhere tried to get the rumour of Hull City looking to re-sign Ahmed El Mohammadi from Aston Villa. And I was no. That's fine. Yeah, that's an easy rumour. And then he said for $6 million.
No,
like,
that's
not real. It's a mick take.
I know it is, but it's like that's so believable. Though, that's the point.
Yeah.
I was about to be having serious discussion with you off the recording then, Will, if you believe that one. Because there was a lot of City fans that actually believe it's genuine, and that was concerning. You've got to look into it properly and notice. Nah. I mean, I'd actually take Elmo back if he were free.
No, I
wouldn't.
The fact that it was like, I think they quoted it to the German newspaper Bild. Why would they be the ones who quoted the rumor?
It reminds me of that account that's based on Internet Explorer, where it tweets like stuff from really, really long ago as though it's happened just now, because obviously Explorer being laggy and whatever. And they've mentioned about Benteke signing for Liverpool.
How long before Fraser Campbell gets linked?
Give it another window.
Yeah.
Another window. He hasn't been away long enough yet. How is he doing actually at Huddersfield?
Badly.
All right.
He hasn't scored as many as he did for us, though, did he?
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, mind you, he don't have Grosicki laying on a plate for him, does he? So,
no.
But,
I should get Grosicki back. No, he's a sort of random sort of foreign nationality that they're enjoying linking to us, so why don't we just get Grosicki back?
I don't think he'd come back, personally. I'd love to have him back, maybe.
No, he's gone back to his hometown team, hasn't he? So...
Hull is his hometown team, as far as I'm concerned.
You couldn't play him as a wing back because you'd never have any defence.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, imagine that. That'd be hilarious.
You can never play him as a wing back. Right, anyway. Right, I think we've covered pretty much everything that we can in this one. Obviously, like I said, do head over to the sponsors pages, 6 Yards Out and Hull City Retro. and donate to Hull Badgeman if you can. We will be back. The next episode is the Phil Brown episode, which obviously we are super hyped to talk to Phil. So if any of you have got any questions that you haven't already sent in, do send them to me or the podcast account or any of us on here, and we'll save them and make sure we try and ask them for you. And then we've also got Leon Court the week after, I believe. So we've got a couple of different era City interviews to do. So we are looking forward to these. But thanks for tuning in again, guys. I hope you all had a nice New Year and a new Christmas. I'm still recovering from my adventure to Blackpool. We were supposed to record on Monday. I was too dead to do so. So it's now. But anyways, cheers for joining me, you two again, as always. Always a pleasure. Joel wasn't on this one, as usual. She'll be back for the next one. But cheers anyway. Thank you. And see you next time.
Cheers.